Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com back with the Pittsburgh Steelers preview and prediction of this Sunday night super wild card weekend matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Kansas City Chiefs. Pittsburgh coming to this game as the seventh and final seed in the AFC, the Chiefs the number two seed in the conference. So a big game here. Pittsburgh, of course, massive underdogs, 12.5 point line at last check in the Chiefs' favor. Let's talk about this game and what Pittsburgh has to do to potentially pull off the upset. We'll start with the Chiefs offense and, one guy they didn't have in that week 16 game against the Steelers and they still found a way to win by 26 points was tight end Travis Kelsey. And he's going to play in this game. Now they will be without running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who got hurt midway through that first meeting, but they're probably going to be happier to have Kelsey back than upset about the loss of Edwards-Helaire. And so it's a potent offense, and I think even the numbers don't necessarily do it justice because they struggled more in that mid-season, early to mid-season kind of range. And since about week 9, week 10, they're back to the same old Chiefs. You look at some of Mahomes' numbers, the overall offensive output, they've really kind of been the typical strong and potent Kansas City team. Now, the Bengals certainly gave them fits and they won that game, but the Steelers are not the Bengals. They don't have the firepower to win those kinds of shootouts. But overall, here, for the Chiefs offense, it starts with Mahomes and trying to contain him, and it's so tough to play Mahomes because he limits you defensively. You really can't blitz him. He's one of the best quarterbacks in football against the blitz. The idea has to be rushing four, dropping seven, and probably play more zone than man coverage just so you get eyes on Mahomes whenever he inevitably leaves the pocket. And it might be a bit easier to plaster that way in some sense whenever you kind of have just a sight line on where Mahomes is running to. But that'll be the big factor about plastering defensively to not allow these receivers to win and get space and scramble drills, which is a very tough thing to do, a big ask for a secondary, and then trying to contain him in the pocket. And I think he can send some safe pressure occasionally, some nickel blitzes with an edge guy dropping. Creatively sending four might be the ticket because rushing 5 and 6 is really dangerous to do. Forces you to play more man coverage, put guys in one-on-one opportunities. They miss a tackle, they blow coverage. It's going to be a big play, potentially a touchdown the other way. I think overall for the Steelers defense, and these are very broad points that are applicable to any game, but I think are really critical whenever you're kind of outmatched and underdogs the way Pittsburgh is in this one is situational football. Listen, the Chiefs are going to move the football, they're going to get yards, they're going to get big plays. You're not stopping that offense unless just it all goes awry and all goes wrong for KC. I think you have to win on third down, and even more importantly than that, win in the red zone. And the Chiefs' red zone offense has been about average this year. It's about 16th, 17th in football. So it's not been great by any means. And so that's where Pittsburgh can really limit KC, force field goals, not allow touchdowns, and keep that score down. Pittsburgh really only has a chance to win if they can keep that first half score down, which has kind of been how they've won almost all their games this season. You think about that Ravens game again, score down first half, team did not play well offense, at least did not play well, but it was tied at three at the break. And so that's going to be the key here is red zone play to me. And of course, you probably need to force a couple turnovers. If this game is even 0-0, hypothetically, in the turnover margin, or say 1-1, then Pittsburgh's very unlikely to win this game. You got to force, I'd say, at least two, not turn the ball over offensively. When KC did have their struggles earlier this year, it was because they were turning the football over at a pretty high clip. Last thing, I don't want to forget about the run game either. I know we pay a lot of attention, and rightfully so, to the weapons and the quarterback, the skill guys at receiver and tight end, but they can run the ball effectively. Now, again, not having Edwards Hilaire is going to be a loss for them, but that's a physical, talented O line that really won the trench battle in week 16. Guys like Smith and Tooney and obviously Humphrey at center, Orlando Brown Jr. left tackle, even Wiley, I think, is kind of an underrated right tackle and a pretty good backup who's ascended into that starting role. And so, the run defense for Pittsburgh, it's been historically bad. You know the story there, but I don't want to completely overlook that run game because the Chiefs have had success running the football this season and they got a pretty good O line to run behind. For the Chiefs defense, again, much like the offense, you've seen a tale of two seasons. The first half of the year was among the worst in football for KC's D. That's why they struggled and were a team that was really having trouble putting it all together about midway through the year. But this back half of the year, And I don't know exactly what changed. Obviously, they did acquire Melvin Ingram. That has helped. They moved Chris Jones inside to allow him to kind of play in a more comfortable position. But the defense has become one of the best in football. Now, again, they've taken their lumps in the last 2 weeks against the Bengals, especially. But what Pittsburgh offers and what the Bengals offer are two different things. But obviously, you want to run the football in this one. You're going to need to run the football. Casey does tend to play more two high safety looks, maybe a little bit less so lately, but they're probably going to dare Pittsburgh to try to run the ball and see if they can. And so, how the Steelers' interior line of, I'll assume J.C. Hassenauer will start at center, John LeGlue at left guard, Trey Turner at right guard handles Jones and some of those interior guys will probably dictate how well or how much the Steelers struggle to run the football. And then in coverage, they're a fairly aggressive defense under DC Steve Spagnuolo. They're I think top 10, top 8 in blitz rate, and they're I think sixth overall in pressure rate. And so, Jones is their top guy. They get help from Frank Clark on the edges, and they bring some DBs occasionally. Tyron Matthew, Honey Badger, he'll blitz from time to time. Like Jarius Sneed's playing some good football for them. Their DBs are pretty active near the line of scrimmage. Overall, broadly, I would say they were more of a zone team on first, second down. They play cover two in a zone match, and so they'll carry routes vertically. They don't spot drop. They'll match the distribution of the routes based on how they look. So if you got number one, number two running vertical, the corner who's the cover two corner is going to carry that one. If number two is going up, he'll carry number one. And then on third down, they usually go more man. That's when they kind of bring more of their pressure, sim pressures and actual nickel blitzes and stuff like that. And so they'll play cover one lurk. And so that's a broad picture I'm painting there. It's not 100% obviously, but I would say overall first, second down, more zone heavy, a little more conservative, and then third down is when they go man and start bringing heat. And to that last point, Pittsburgh's going to have to do a better job of identifying and picking up some blitzes. I think one thing they've struggled really since the Vikings game, Minnesota exposed as well, has been some of those overload blitzes and some of those, mug double A gap looks. The linebackers, you put a DB in the A gap, force the line to kind of pinch and respect that potential. And then they're going to drop out. They're going to bluff the blitz and bring somebody from the other side and bring a corner pressure or something like that. And so, the Ravens got a sack off of that in Week 18. So that tape's pretty much out there for Pittsburgh, and so how they handle some of those pressure things on the road, no less, where crowd noise an issue, silent count, that's all going to be critical. Last note on special teams: the Chiefs have a strong special teams unit led by longtime coordinator Dave Tabb, who's regarded as one of the better special teams coaches in football, maybe the best. I'm sure some would argue. And they got a good kicker, Butker, who did not kick in that Week 16 game. Townsend's been a good punter for them. He's thrown a pass on a fake this year on a 4th and 7 play in the fourth quarter on their own 47. So that was the situation for it, but it is just one example. So it's hard to find out if there's a trend there. KC, one of two teams, I believe, or three teams in the NFL that are top 10 in both kick and punt return. They got a couple of good returnmen in Pringle, who had two receiving touchdowns against Pittsburgh in that first matchup, and Hardman is kind of their overall main punt returner. And so Pittsburgh, A, will have to minimize KC's success on special teams, but also B, create splash. And whether that's a block punt, a long return, maybe a fake, maybe we'll see a trick play offensively. I wouldn't be shocked by that, a receiver pass, something like that, just because there's nothing to lose. And by the way, we'll see if Juju plays as well. It sounds like he will. I'm recording this here Friday evening. My guess right now is that he will. Maybe I'm wrong by the time you're listening to this, but that's kind of my feel for things. And probably if he does play, we'll probably log up 15, 20 snaps and probably play 11 personnel, third down, red zone. Those big time moments, he always seems to rise to the occasion. But overall, to go back to special teams, I think you have to create some splash there and certainly not allow any on your side of things. So all of that is to say, who will be the winner of this game? And take all my predictions with many, many grains of salt. I'll just get into my prediction right now. I have the Chiefs winning this one 28-19. I've been wrong before, as you guys know. So, I just overall think, does Pittsburgh have the offense to compete with the Chiefs in a game like this where you're probably going to have to score at least 25 to 27, and obviously you have the Chiefs scoring 28 points in this game. And the Bengals could do that. They could match big play for big play. Chase was ripping off long gains. Burrow was throwing dimes downfield on third and forever. Can Pittsburgh do that? They have not shown that at all this year, except for the rare occasion, and that's usually because they were down a million points and they had a furious comeback. And that's not how you're going to beat KC by being down 20 points or 27 points, 29 points, as was the case of the Vikings game. So I just don't see the firepower. I think the defense can keep the score down a little bit, but the Chiefs, they're just so good all game, and they get off the fast starts. Pittsburgh does not. And so you're really worried about putting yourself in a hole early. So that's my prediction. We'll see what happens. This year's been wacky, and obviously the mere fact Pittsburgh is in a playoff game, the fact that we're talking about a wild card preview is certainly unexpected compared to where things stood following the Chiefs game just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not giving Pittsburgh zero chance. There is a chance. They got to win the turnover battle, probably win it 2-0, not give the ball away at all. They do that, then that's kind of the foundation. You get a big player too. Who knows? So we'll find out together what happens Sunday night. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know your score prediction in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Again, appreciate you watching. We'll recap this game in the coming days, and we'll talk to you soon.